Hi there, Nicola from Soul Dance Circus. Welcome to your beginner tutorial on waist hooping. So first I want to talk about your hoop. So if you're just beginning to learn to waist hoop, I would recommend that you go for a pretty big sized hoop. So you might notice here, if I put my hoop in front of me on the floor, it comes somewhere around between the top of my hip bone and my belly button. And it's a relatively thick tubing. So it's got a bit of weight to it as well. So with waist hooping, the rule is the smaller the hoop, the lighter it is, the harder it is to keep up, and the faster you have to hoop. So to begin with, I would recommend you select a hoop of about this size, proportionate to your height. Once you get practicing, you can definitely then move down to smaller, lighter hoops if you like. So first I want to talk about beginning by pushing the hoop. So we need to start well. So start with the hoop touching your back, and we want to give a nice solid push, and we want to push the hoop really flat. So if we push like this or like this, we're not going to have much luck in keeping it going. So against the back, nice solid flat push against the belly. So ideally you want it to do a couple of spins on its own. So if you're getting a few spins on its own, you know you're doing a good throw. So I'm going to run through two techniques to keep the hoop going. I prefer one to the other, and I'll explain why at the end of the tutorial. So first we're going to think about pushing the hoop backwards and forwards. So this is a one-directional push. I'm keeping my body nice and vertical and straight. I don't lean forward, I don't lean back or to the side. Keeping my feet relatively close together, and I'm engaging my core and my quads and my glutes. So I'm going to give it a nice solid push, and then I'm literally just doing a push forward and backwards from my center, keeping my core engaged, legs engaged. And hooping is all about the timing. So your movement can actually be quite small as long as your timing is on spot. So if you notice, I'm pushing the hoop forward in the same rhythm. If you slow down, the hoop will fall. If you speed up, the hoop will come up. So if that's a little bit difficult for you, you can bring one foot a little bit in front of the other and then try that pushing backwards and forwards motion. So having your feet a little bit far apart like this makes the motion a little bit easier. So, second technique is feet a little bit further than hip width apart. And this time we're going to push from side to side. So again, it's a one-directional motion. And we're going to push side to side. I'm keeping my core engaged still, standing up nice and straight and tall, and pushing from side to side. And remember, it's all about the rhythm. So now I'm going to give you two little challenges. If you now have that down, we're going to try to move a little bit while we hoop. So another rule of hooping is if you go with the hoop in the same direction, it makes things a little bit easier and slower. So this is good to get used to turning around with the hoop, because then later on it makes learning certain tricks a little bit easier because you can do them slower. So what happens is if you go with the hoop, it starts to pick up its own movement. It goes with its own inertia, so therefore you can hoop a little bit slower. So you can just pivot on one foot if you like, and think about, I'm still pushing the hoop in the rhythm. So you can have a bit of a play around here, see if you can move the rest of your body, start to have a bit of a dance around. Next little challenge I'm going to give you is we're going to try to drop the hoop a little bit and pick it back up again. So, as I said, rule is if you go slower, the hoop will fall. If you go faster, the hoop will rise up your body. So, we are going to find our nice waist hooping technique. You're going to slow down enough so that the hoop drops down to about your hips. And we're going to try to get it back up. So So what's happening here is I'm changing the movement for a second from my waist, which is pushing backwards and forwards, to moving my hips, which is a little bit more of a shimmy. So that same principle, so slow down, let it drop, shimmy the hips and go a little bit faster until it pops back to your center, and then we have to return to pushing with our center. So this is just getting used to feeling the hoop in different parts of the body, and really good to start to find that control. So try both techniques, side to side and backwards and forwards. But I would personally recommend the backwards and forwards method, because if you're serious about hooping and you want to start to learn to hoop on different parts of your body, or to hoop with multiple hoops at the same time, it's all a backwards and forwards motion. Backwards and forwards. And backwards and forwards. So then when we want to start hooping with multiple hoops in our body, we really need to have that backwards and forward motion. So we can then do it in a wave.